Are there any amendments to the minutes? If there are no amendments to the minutes, can someone move that the minutes be accepted as circulated, please?
Madam Speaker, I move that the minutes be accepted as circulated.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second.
Thank you, members. It has been moved and seconded that the minutes of proceedings of the 7th meeting of the 3rd session of the 12th Anguilla House of Assembly be accepted as circulated. Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Minutes of proceedings of the 7th meeting of the 3rd session of the 12th Anguilla House of Assembly accepted as circulated. Thank you.
Oath of allegiance to new members? None. Announcements by the direction of the Speaker?
Thank you. I make apologies on behalf of the member for Sandy Hill, the Attorney General, and the Single Island Wide Electoral District member, Mr. Jose Vanterpool, absent with reason. Thank you.
Questions? None. Government statements on recent developments? None. Papers? None. Reports from committees? None. Petitions? None. Government notices? None. Private members' notices? None. Motions? Motion 2 of 2023 3/12 HOA. Endorsement of Code of Conduct and Register of Interest for members of the Anguilla House of Assembly.
Madam Speaker,
The honorable member for Valley South is recognized.
Sorry. Madam Speaker, I rise to move the motion number 2 of 2023 3/12 HOA, which reads endorsement of the Code of Conduct and Register of Interest for members of the Anguilla House of Assembly. Madam Speaker, I rise to second. Madam Speaker, the resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Administration Committee of the Anguilla House of Assembly has developed a Code of Conduct and Register of Interest for members of the Assembly, which was laid before this Honorable House at the 7th meeting of the 3rd session on the 27th day of February 2023. And whereas the Code of Conduct and Register of Interests emanates from the Assembly's Strategic Goal 10 to build the trust and confidence of the people in their House of Assembly, and the corresponding strategy to ensure ethical and principled governance, and follows on the recommendations of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association's Benchmarks for Democratic Legislatures report for Anguilla. And whereas the development of a Code of Conduct and Register of Interests acknowledges the community's expectations of high standards from their elected representatives, as well as the desire of members of this Honorable House to enhance propriety and to strengthen the community's trust in the Assembly, to encourage ethical conduct and to reduce risks to the integrity of the Assembly. Whereas the draft Code of Conduct and Register of Interests is the result of a consultative process that engaged members of the Assembly, Assembly staff, the general public, the Governor's Office, and relied extensively on best practice models throughout the Commonwealth. Be it resolved that this Honorable House, we hope so, endorses the proposed Code of Conduct and Register of Interests and directs the Clerk of the House of Assembly and all others concerned to place the provisions necessary to make the Code of Conduct operational by the 30th of September 2023. Madam Speaker, if we go through the appendix that's attached, the Code of Conduct, and we see that the Code of Conduct references and requires in the written declaration of interest of members of this Honorable Assembly. In the preamble, the code requires that members and states that members of the House of Assembly acknowledge that the community expects high standards of the elected representatives. The principles of the code are found herein, requiring members of the code to abide by the following principles: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. It requires a declaration of interests, the establishment of a commissioner of standards. It deals with how breaches of the code shall be dealt with and the attendant sanctions for such breaches. It also sets out the use of resources and information, sets out conflicts of interest, the definition of which and how they should be provided to this Honorable House of Assembly, and also sets out respect for citizens generally, colleagues, and staff. The Declaration of Interests, the actual form, is also found attached here too. This form will be lodged with the clerk of the Honorable House of Assembly and completed and lodged within 28 days of any change of interests which necessitates an amendment of a previously declared interest. So for the purpose of declaration, Madam Speaker, members' immediate family members would ordinarily comprise only of members' spouses, partners, and dependent children, but may include other members of his or her house when their interests are closely connected with that member's. So all of these things are contained within our declaration of interest, Madam Speaker. So I move this motion forward for consideration by this Honorable House.
Thank you. Motion 2, 2023-312 HOA, endorsement of Code of Conduct and Register of Interest for members of the Anguilla House of Assembly, has been moved and seconded. This floor stands open for contributions from members. The Honorable Member for Valley North is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of this motion. I think it is important for our House of Assembly to have codes of conduct. I think it is important for us as servants of the people to declare all our interests there, Madam Speaker, in the event that there are any conflicts of interest or things along those lines. So I rise in support, and I thank the motion for coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you also. Any other contributions? If there are no other contributions, can I ask the mover to respond, please?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you to this Honorable House and to the member for Valley North for her contributions to this motion. I'd just like to add, Madam Speaker, to give more color to the Code of Conduct, what the Code of Conduct actually requires. It looks at members of the House in terms of their place of residence, registering their place of residence, any real estate that they have, any income, which is other income other than the monies expended to members of the House of Assembly, shareholdings of any publicly listed companies, private companies or subsidiary companies therein, partnerships, any offices held in any corporation or other body, which includes a professional body or a business association, any trusts, which includes a blind trust, Madam Speaker, which means that if you have a beneficial interest that is held by you or immediate family member, those also must be declared in this declaration of interests, even if your family member holds a beneficial interest in something that's a blind trust. Also, it requires you list any estate in which you or an immediate family member are appointed as an executor of or hold a beneficial interest. It also requires members of this Honorable House to list a description of any debt which is any mortgage, hire purchase, overdraft, or personal loan in the name of the creditor to which it is owed. The declaration of interest goes as far as to require other assets held in a value of over $10,000 that are not listed in any of the other categories that I just made out, such as a saving or investment account, bonds, or any other investment accounts of that nature, and the institution in which it is held. It also requires members to list any gifts that the member has received, and it sets out the conditions for when a gift should be registered in item 11. And it also requires you to list gifts that are of a significant value received by a member of your immediate family as a result of your position as a member, that is, other than in a purely personal capacity, if you receive those gifts. It also requires you to set out any travel, accommodation, entertainment, and hospitality. So any free or concessional travel you've undertaken where the cost or part were met other than by the House of Assembly. It also requires you to list all organizations that you are a member of which, including unions, political organizations, business groups, community organizations, lobby groups, and other clubs. And we also have a catch-all, Madam Speaker, in item 11, which allows you to include under this item any other fact or circumstance which you believe it is appropriate to disclose for the purpose of avoiding or resolving an actual or perceived conflict of interest with your duties as a member. And so, Madam Speaker, this declaration of private interests is intended to build the public confidence in elected members by ensuring that the people of Anguilla don't presume that the interests of members is other than for the best interests of the people of Anguilla. And I believe, Madam Speaker, that this is something that all members of the Administration Committee, which was established after our review in 2020, wanted to see quickly put in place. It was one of the benchmark goals that was selected by the Administration Committee to focus on, and I must speak for all members of the Administration Committee to say that we are very pleased to see this moving forward and being formally recognized by members of this Honorable House. So we thank you, and I commit this to this Honorable House.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Motion 2, 2023-312 HOA has been debated without amendment. Members, the question is that this motion be passed. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Motion 2, 2023-312 HOA has been passed without amendment and is now a resolution of the Assembly.
Motion Motion 3/2023-3/12 HOA, approval of special sitting of the House of the Assembly to mark the occasion of the opening ceremony of the Commons and Overseas Territories Speakers Conference.
The Honorable Member for Road North is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. Madam Speaker, I beg to move the motion 3/2023-3/12 HOA.
Madam Speaker, I raise a second.
Madam Speaker, I'll read the motion. It's the approval of a special sitting of the House of Assembly to mark the occasion of the opening ceremony of the Commons and Overseas Territories Speakers Conference 2023. The resolution reads, whereas the Anguilla House of Assembly will host the House of Commons and Overseas Territories Speakers Conference from the 4th to the 6th April 2023. Whereas the Commons and Overseas Territories Speaker Conference is a grouping of the speakers of the House of Commons of the United Kingdom and the British Overseas Territories that meets annually to foster contacts, coordination, and the exchange of experience among the speakers of the UK House of Commons and Overseas Territories, consider questions of interest and express non-party political views on such issues, promote knowledge and understanding of parliamentary democracy in its various forms and the development of parliamentary institutions. And whereas the hosting of the conference in Anguilla is an honor for the Assembly and Anguilla as a whole. Be it resolved that this Honorable House directs that a special sitting of the Assembly be held on April 3rd, 2023 at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that the order of business shall be as proposed by the Speaker. And Madam Speaker, if you just permit me, I'll read out the order of business. The order of business for the special sitting of the third session to be held on Tuesday, April 4, 2023 at 9 a.m. We'll start with prayers, which will be followed by the national anthem of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the British Overseas Territories, then the national song of Anguilla, followed by a welcome speech by the Speaker of the Anguilla House of Assembly. Then there will be the introduction of the following speakers. And we will have speeches from Leader of the Opposition. Speaker of the House of Commons is invited to address the Assembly. The Speaker of the Youth Parliament is also invited to address the Assembly. And then we'll have a speech from the Premier of Anguilla. And then we will have our adjournment. So, Madam Speaker, I move this motion for consideration of this Honorable House.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Motion 3, 2023, 312 HOA, approval of special sitting of the House of Assembly to mark the occasion of the opening ceremony of Commons and the Overseas Territory Speakers, has been moved and seconded. The floor is now open for contribution from members. The Single Island-wide Electoral District Member, Mrs. Quincy Gums-Marie, is recognized.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members of the House. Madam Speaker, I rise just to support and congratulate yourself as the first OT minister to host the OT speaker, to host the Speakers Conference. Major feats on your behalf and also the behalf of other speakers across the overseas territories. I know last year was a groundbreaking year as well, where we had the first Anguillian in Ronica Connor to present at that conference as well, who presented in the House of Commons. And this really bodes well for the strengthening of our relationship as overseas territory countries, and also our relationship between ourselves and the UK. The current speaker, I know that he is very passionate about improving the relationship and increasing the voice of overseas territories in the House of Commons and throughout other ministries within the UK government. And I think this is a major step. I really want to congratulate you for this I guess I can say momentous occasion. And I really wish you the best, and I hope that this conference will be a success.
Thank you, Member. Are there any other contributions? The honorable member for Valley North is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having recently returned from the UK, I can tell you that you have quite a number of individuals who are very excited to come to Anguilla. I want to congratulate you for welcoming them, for inviting them, because they would have made it abundantly clear to all those in the room, all the parliamentarians, that Anguilla would have invited them to have the conference here. It bodes quite well. A number of them will be here for the first time. So again, congratulations and all the best with all the plans and preparations.
Appreciate it. Thank you kindly. Are there any other contributions? The honorable member for Island Harbor is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning. Madam Speaker, it's with great pride that I stand here with you as the first female speaker of this honorable House in this month of International Month for Women, but also you being from, District 1. It always said that, Anguilla is number one, and we are leading out in this through your efforts, Madam Speaker. I know that you have met, while you were in London, you met with His Highness King Charles. You've, met with the UK Speaker to arrange this, and so this is an honor that we have to share in this event. I do know that we have a full program planned for Speaker and the other speakers from the overseas territories who will be here to not only to showcase our abilities, but also to showcase Anguilla, where we've come from and where we still have to go. So I look forward to those events and hope that we do this in a sense of collegiality and also unity, because we have a united purpose as overseas territories to make sure that we look out for the best interests of our people. And just editing note, in the resolution it says April 3rd at 9 o'clock. That should be corrected to April 4th at 10 o'clock. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Appreciate it.
Thank you, honorable member. Are there any other contributions? If there are no other contributions, I invite the mover to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the members for their contributions. I just want to add, Madam Speaker, it's an honor for Anguilla Yes, Madam Speaker, I just want to thank the members for their contribution, and just to say what an honor it is for Anguilla to host this meeting of the overseas territory speakers, and to invite everyone to come out to this momentous occasion, and especially the special sitting that will be held on April 4th here at this House of Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. Acknowledging the adjustment raised by the member of Island Harbor, we are now going to, I'm going to put the question that we amend the date as suggested. So I put the question that April 3rd be amended in the resolution as April 4th. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is amended to say April 4th. Sorry? The time is correct, 9 o'clock, yes.
Yes,
Thank you. Clerk? Yes. Okay, so motion 3, 2023, 312 HOA has been debated with amendment. Members, the question is that this motion be passed. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Motion 3, 2023, 312 HOA has been passed with amendment and is now a resolution of the Assembly. Thank you, members.
Personal explanations, none. Other business, government business, none. Private members' bills, none. Private bills, none. Other orders of the day.
I invite the member for Valley North to give a report of her recent trip regarding CPA UK Westminster Seminar on Effective Parliament.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to first start by thanking the Anguilla House of Assembly for all of the preparations and help that went into affording me the opportunity to go, and also to thank the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association for giving me the opportunity and for providing the seminar. The seminar lasted a little under a week, Madam Speaker. It gave me the opportunity to engage with over 60 delegates from all across the Commonwealth, parliamentarians who were recently elected within the last 2 to 3 years. It also gave me an opportunity to engage with speakers and other staff of House of Assemblies across the Commonwealth. It gave me an opportunity to compare and contrast, Madam Speaker, some of the parliamentary rules, regulations, procedures in lots of other Commonwealth countries. There were quite a number of similarities, but also a number of differences. We had over 16 sessions, Madam Speaker, that ranged from communication and leadership. This is allowing parliamentarians the opportunity to engage with trained communication specialists in order to improve their communication skills and techniques. Madam Speaker, it was very essential. We also engaged with a number of MPs in the UK. One in particular, and it was quite beneficial to myself, is the opportunity to go out with an MP in their constituency. So we would have toured the constituency by foot, stopped at a number of iconic key locations in the constituency, but also visit the constituency office. And I was very impressed to see how small the constituency office was, but also how effective it was, Madam Speaker. So that was quite beneficial. We also had the opportunity to talk to a number of parliamentarians who had been in politics and public office for, in some cases, 20, 30 years, who had served on the opposition side, who had served on the government side, and were able to share stories and experiences about how they were able to effectively use Parliament to represent the interests of their people, but also to affect change in a number of priority areas for themselves, Madam Speaker, which we also found to be quite beneficial. We also had plenary sessions where we sat in small groups with a number of other parliamentarians to discuss some of the challenges that exist within their structures, Madam Speaker, in Parliament, some of the strengths, some of the resources that they have available to them, and some of the resources that they don't have available to them. I was also fortunate to serve as one of the speakers on the panel, Madam Speaker, where I was able to discuss the parliamentary resources that we have available to us in Anguilla and those that we do not have. One of the key areas that was very important for me as a parliamentarian coming in before I was even involved in politics is the importance of having constituency offices and district offices. This is something that I've prioritized personally. And being able to be there with them, engaging them, and understanding how other parliamentarians and how other parliamentary structures function and are able to provide resources to district and constituency offices, this was very alarming to me, Madam Speaker. And the reality is that a lot of small islands and countries have some of the same issues that Anguilla has in terms of limited resources, Madam Speaker. in order to be able to fund constituency offices. There were other countries that thought it was absolutely outrageous that we didn't have constituency office spaces where we could meet and engage our people. And it is even worse, Madam Speaker, if you don't have the benefit of serving in government where you have an assigned office space where you might be able to have and hold meetings. So again, Madam Speaker, it was a very, very important and engaging seminar. I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I was able to create a lot of lasting networking connections. I have pieces of legislation and documentation that will certainly support the case that I will continue to make for having constituency and district offices and the importance of it. You know, as I move forward, it's a priority for myself, but beyond me and beyond Valley North, it needs to be a priority for the entire district. Because as far as I'm concerned, Madam Speaker, if our people are electing us, then we need to have spaces where we can engage them. And that's whether we're in government, we're on the opposition side. That's something that is quite important. So again, Madam Speaker, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here this morning as well. And I also want to say another thank you, Madam Speaker, to the Parliamentary Association, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association generally, because since I've been elected last year, Madam Speaker, I have been the beneficiary of quite a bit of online training from them. They have been very, very supportive every step of the way. I've also been able to be trained as an observer for elections within the Commonwealth and overseas territories. And I've recently been the beneficiary of the opportunity to be an observer at the BVI elections, which I'm sure I'll discuss after that period, Madam Speaker. So again, Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank them and thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. The honorable member for Island Harbor is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just want to give condolences to all those who have lost family members recently, and those who are sick, and those who've suffered from accidents, motor vehicle and otherwise, Madam Speaker. We certainly know that, close family member of ours is now on his way to Trinidad for treatment after sudden illness. And it would seem, and also another member of our constituency who is in the hospital fighting for his life. It just means that we'll have to work on the Minister for Infrastructure and et cetera to get those helmet laws and safety restraints laws in place. And then for the Royal Anguilla Police Force to enforce them. Speaker, timely, just for note, the Caribbean Neurosurgical Foundation is having a workshops with the Health Authority of Anguilla at the Anguilla Football Association's Raymond Gishard Stadium. And this workshop is dealing with neurotrauma, just what we're talking about, injury to the brain and spinal cord. I want to commend Dr. Myron Roll of Harvard Med School, Massachusetts General Hospital, his dad, Whitney Roll of Bahamian Heritage, who started this foundation and is doing good work throughout the Caribbean to try to bring awareness to teach how to treat patients who develop these types of injuries. And Madam Speaker, I want to thank the people of Anguilla for surprising me with a birthday celebration last Saturday evening. It certainly, was an experience. And there were people from all districts, Madam Speaker, who attended. And I certainly want to thank the organizers, those who contributed, and those who attended. And it was a wonderful occasion to fellowship with the people of Anguilla. And certainly it's a memorable occasion. My 60th birthday will be one that I will remember for the rest of the days that I have left on this earth. And I want to pledge to the people of Anguilla that I will continue to work on their behalf and I thank them for the love and support they showed last Saturday evening. My birthday, though, is the 18th of March, so it was a week late, so they got me again and surprised me. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Any other orders of the day? The member for Road South is recognized.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I don't want to be long. I just want to say I joined with the Premier with the issue relative to personal protection as it relates to motorcycles. And as you know, it was over 20 years ago when Ezekiel Rogers lost his life on the Water Swamp Road, not wearing a helmet. One motorcycle collided into another motorcycle. And following that, helmet laws were enacted. And that is the order of the day at this point. Unfortunately, on many of our roads, the Road Traffic Act is not enforced. For some reason or the other, there has not been an enforcement of the Road Traffic Act for a number of years. And that is related to the Litter Abatement Act, relating to trucks driving uncovered. It has been related to speeding on our roads. It has been related to motorcycles and scooter riders riding without helmets. All of these laws are already on the books with stiff penalties, but unfortunately, for some reason, the traffic department of the Royal Anguilla Police Force has been gutted, and there has been no real effort to reinstate that department. I can recall at one of our press conferences, the now Commissioner of Police, Mr. David Lynch, about a year ago, made a promise that he will immediately reinstate the traffic department and enforce these laws. Unfortunately, like politicians of old, that promise was never realized. And most of the time we come to this house, a member for West End chides me and the government for a number of issues relating to speeding, especially in the West End area. Sometimes it gives me the impression that the members of parliament should be out there enforcing these laws, but the laws are in place, they're made here in this honorable house. Laws are amended and upgraded here in this honorable house, and then there are officers that ought to be enforcing these laws. And I would hope that today, coming from this house, that there'll be some impetus, some motivation by the hierarchy of the Royal Anguilla Police Force to re-establish the road traffic department and start to enforce these laws. Because, Madam Speaker, remember there was a commissioner of police by the name of Mitchell Harrigan, who had no more than 30-something officers, Madam Speaker, very limited resources. And he was able to man the Blowing Point Ferry Terminal, he was able to man the Sandy Ground outpost, he was able to man the Sandy Hill outpost, was able to man the Valley outpost, and was able to enforce the Vehicle and Road Traffic Act and border control with less than 40 officers. Today we have an excess of 100 officers, and excuse after excuse is made from the hierarchy of the Royal Anguilla Police Force. And I'm not talking about the junior officers, I'm talking at the top, Madam Speaker, for why these Vehicle and Road Traffic why the Vehicle and Road Traffic Act is not enforced. So hopefully, from this house today, we have a unity of purpose as it relates to ensuring that this moves forward. And I know that right now we're going through the process of recruiting Commissioner of Police, and I hope that the powers that be that recruits this police officer will ensure that these things are enforced, Madam Speaker, and whoever it is that is chosen to lead the Royal Anguilla Police Force will understand that the laws of Anguilla, in particular the laws of the road, so that the member for West End would not continue to press me, not only in this house, but also by email. And hopefully he'll direct those questions, those admonitions, and those emails to the right authorities and not to the member for Road South. So thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Are there any other orders of the day? The member for West End is...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I couldn't resist it. Yeah, but on a serious note, Madam Speaker, you know, it's easy for us to point fingers, but all of us have got a degree of responsibility to the safety of our people. Starts in our home, on the street, here in the House of Assembly, and I will never get tired of asking for the street light at Long Bay to be reinstalled, because it was there. It was moved from there to elsewhere. I will also ask for speed limits, and not just speed limits, but the fact that, especially in West End and along the Arthur Fleming Senior Road, we need speed bumps. Because the family members or the residents in that area, Madam Speaker, they are concerned. And anywhere in Anguilla where we can do the best that we can to prevent serious injury, we should do so. So whether I contact the minister responsible or the commissioner of police, and I've done both, but unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the results have not been what they should be. But I will continue to press until we get the results that we deserve. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Are there any other orders of the day? Are there any other orders of the day? Thank you. If there are no other orders of the day, we continue.
Adjournment.
Honorable Member.
Madam Speaker, I rise to beg that this honorable House be adjourned until the special sitting on the 4th of yes, the 4th of April, 2023 at 9 a.m. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second.
Thank you, members. It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House now stands adjourned until April 4th at 9 a.m. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. This honorable House now stands adjourned until April 4th at 9 a.m. Thank you, members. Have a good day.